Hello, Marbin fans. We got some big news here. Dirty Horse, our new album, is now out for people who buy the VIP package. It's $100. You can download it right now. The download link to the music from our upcoming album, Dirty Horse. You get it immediately with your purchase. The album won't be officially released for 4 to 6 months. Won't be on any of the streaming, so you'll be the only ones to download it and have it before everybody else does. And then when we print the merch, we're going to send you some stuff. We're going to send you a signed physical CD. We're going to send you a booklet about music that Danny wrote, which is called How to Stop Sucking, the Incomplete Guide to Improving Your Musical Abilities, only available for the VIP purchasers. And then also a trucker hat with the Marbin logo. And to get all this, all you need to do is go to the merch section of our Bandcamp, which is marbinmusic.bandcamp.com/merch. It's the first icon you can press. It has a zebra, that's the cover, and it says VIP in red letters. That's the package. I hope you guys get it. I hope you leave us a note and tell us what you think about this album, because it is by far the best thing we've ever done, and we're so excited for you guys to hear it. So thank you so much, and without further ado, enjoy this episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Music Real Talk with Marbin. This is episode 64, I think. Hard to keep track anymore. We've been doing this for a minute. That's pretty crazy. 64 weeks. Keeps getting longer.
It doesn't feel a lot, but I'm sure for the people listening, it feels like a lot.
Yeah, they've been through some shit with us, dude. So yeah, first thing this week that is different is that we finished our album. We had Nate Wood that plays like a crazy drummer and looks like Vladimir Putin master our album.
Every video he makes, people comment about how he looks like Putin.
He does look like Putin. He looks like shredding drum Putin. Yeah, I mean, I've never been so shocked by the difference mastering makes.
Yeah, it's always a big difference, but this time it was insane.
Yeah, it was as if everything was recorded like in the mix, like 2D almost, like on top of each other, and then like he just did something to spread it out. Like, and there's like just such depth in this on many levels. This is the best album we've made, but on the
sound-wise for sure.
Sound-wise, yeah, it's in a whole other ballpark. It's like, to me, I was always looking for, I didn't have good words to describe it. I used to call it polish and things like that when I would talk to people. Like, I want it to be more professional sounding, more polished, more separated, more whatever.
Yeah, even compared to Last Chapter of Dreaming, that the mix is great, and obviously Rick did mix and mastering, and I think he mastered it. And it sounds like the sounds are good, but it's kind of, everything is kind of on top of each other. And here, even in songs like Dirty Horse Part 2, like at the end when there are guitar lines, saxophone lines, horn parts, percussion, like drums, you can really hear everything clearly. It's very interesting.
It was just, yeah, we did not drop the ball really at any point in this album, which is incredible. The ball always drops with us at some point on something where it's like, as soon as
sound,
with something, with sound. I mean, you have a little bit of buyer's remorse immediately after, and I do too.
I already have a few things with how I played or like the stuff we did, and then horn parts I would have done some stuff tiny bit different. Again, not big stuff. Just already I would do it tiny bit things a little bit different, like maybe add some stuff or do it a little bit differently. So it's fine. But that's the way it is. It's always like that. I also know like the specific two things that I told you. There is a section that's like the show. So if you saw a show, it's open saxophone, and there is one saxophone which is pretty crazy to put on an album or to do in a show. But in the show, it definitely worked. Like no doubt. I have no doubt in my mind it works in the show. Everybody was really into it. But on the album, it's a little bit weird, I think. And then the last song, we reamped the sax and put an effect on it, and it's cool, but it's so different that I kind of had second thoughts about it. But
well, we showed it to Bad Ben, and he's like, I thought that was like the guitar solo, and I was like, that's like, I was trying to listen to it from that perspective of thinking it's guitar, and I was like, I was blowing my own mind. I was like, how do you do that
on guitar? Yeah, that makes no sense. But I know that if I wouldn't do it, those two specific things are the biggest things. I would also have buyer's remorse from that.
Right.
Because we did something like that in third set, and in retrospect, I'm really sorry that we took it out, and I tried to put it back in, and we just couldn't find the files.
Yeah. Can you actually, when you talk, can you come a little bit closer to the computer?
Yeah, no problem.
Classroom. That's great.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't have my mic this week, so.
Oh, that's all good.
No, that's you know already.
Yeah, so it's an interesting thing to be done with a project like that and listen to it, and because I mean at this point we've done so many albums that like I have like my normal range of emotion when I'm finishing an album, especially what's very different about this one. Usually when I show things to my wife, she's like, I get the sense that like, it's like to her, it's just fusion. And she's like, trying to be nice to me, but she's like, yeah, it's like, That's that's good. Like, good job, kid. Like you played fast. But this time I could tell just something about the sonic nature of this, like of the experience of listening to the album is so much more in the ballpark of what normal people listen to in some way. Like, there's something about it that's just more inviting than just like four guys shredding.
Also, the layers, I want to say, the layers kind of help. It makes it, in a weird way, it makes it...
accessible or something?
Yeah, in some ways, yeah.
Yeah, like full.
Than just a quartet, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It is. It's pretty insane album. It's like we did a lot of crazy stuff in those.
The weird thing always at this point is like that I'm like, it's weird because when we were making our first album, I just remember being finished and you immediately want to know what people think about it. Like the people you care about.
You send it to everybody you know and don't know, like all your friends on Facebook and MySpace.
And it's amazing, like what 15 years in this business will do. Because now I can't even think about who to send
it to,
except for like my parents and like 3 other people.
Barely those people, honestly.
Yeah, and it's incredible because I just remember like 15 years ago, I was like, I'm sending it to my kindergarten teacher, to my college professors, to my friends, and like you just get so jaded on that specific thing, and like it's like eating something that's bad. Like you send it to like this friend, like
and again. How many times did you send it to Tonzo, your professor from Berkeley, and to Fryman from Israel?
Oh my God! And it's like it was
until like 3 albums ago or something.
Yeah, and it's like just life teaches you not to do that because it doesn't.
Like we just don't want to. And the better it is, the less we want to hear it.
That is so true. It's one of the hard truths that we probably talked about here a lot of times is that it's hard. It's just a hard fact of life. But the people who you want to flip, the people who you want to respect you, are literally going to be the last ones in line. Like you always, inevitably, a generation influences the next generation. You do not influence your colleagues. If you do something exceptional, your colleagues are going to hate you for it. They're not going to celebrate you for it, unless there's something in it for them. Like if they're in your band or, you're paying their rent or something, they're just not going to get in line and clap for you. And the older people don't really care. Meaning, I don't mean like older in age. Your fans could be older, but like we send it to like Scott Henderson to get some.
Yeah,
so and Scott likes
us, and he likes the music. Like I had him talk, like we didn't see that as well. And I had him talk to some people, and he was saying really nice stuff about us and the music. But he's not gonna listen to Marbin for fun. Like he hears our stuff when it comes out because we send it to him. But it's not like. He's not listening to you playing guitar and learning something from what you're playing. You know what I mean?
Of course not.
Well, it's not really, of course not, because I can't imagine being in the situation still. Maybe it's because we're still in the, like kind of young, because once you pass 40, I feel like it's the next generation.
Oh, he's listening.
Business.
He's listening to Weather Report the way I listen to Tribal Tech.
Like he's in his 60s?
Yeah.
It probably, yeah.
I'm saying it's like like that music means something to me that goes beyond like guitar licks or like information. It's just like really a part of my childhood, and a part of why I liked guitar. So it goes deeper, and I think like you need to conquer people's like aesthetic mental real estate that way. Like you need to make music that means something to them and goes along with their lives, like your recordings do that. If it's just that's an interesting lick, then
like I know it doesn't matter how much I know it in my brain. Mm-hmm. That let's say if I send this album, let's say I tell Jeff Corbin, hey, listen to this album and then tell me what to practice on, right? Like I'm pretending to take a lesson. I know in my brain that there is no way that he would take anything from what I'm playing. But it's like it's hard for me in my heart to imagine myself in a situation when I hear anything that I like or anything that's interesting in saxophone and not stealing it immediately. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I'm the same way. I mean, I always think about, that Henry Ecker, the gypsy jazz boy from...
Kid, yeah.
Yeah, the kid.
From Boston.
From Boston, yeah. From I don't think
Massachusetts, outside of Boston, yeah.
Yeah, so he's, nice kid, very talented. And he's like... Now he's no longer really prodigy age. He's like 17 or something.
That's the prodigy age. It's
almost the edge. Done. It's the edge. Yeah. Man, COVID fucked him so hard. Like to steal 2 years of your and counting of your prodigy time is just so terrible. It's like that's such a death blow,
Yeah.
But in any case. Yeah, because they see one picture of you and you're like a kid, and then you're like have a fucking beard, you're like 6 foot tall. He's also a big kid, like he's tall now.
Yeah,
he doesn't look like a kid anymore. But in any case, I keep seeing videos of him playing gypsy jazz pop up, and he's kind of like, if I ever steal gypsy jazz lick, he's sort of my go-to for a few reasons. First of all, in gypsy jazz, everybody's playing each other's stuff. Nobody's making new things. And when you have like a really good student that you're stealing from, they sort of clip the right things, the right length phrases.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they keep, and because it's just licks, they keep repeating them in the solo. Like it's a thing he does over E7, but if you just learned it, he's likely to do it like 7 times in the solo. So you get to see it in like a few contexts. So it's almost like if some lick or something in the picking is mysterious, when you're trying to like steal it from Stokler Rosenberg, it's kind of like drinking from a fire hydrant. It could feel
he already chewed it out for you.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you're just sitting there and you're just like the best dining experience is when somebody eats your food and then throws it up into your mouth.
Yeah, it's basically that though, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's very easy. It's So what I'm saying is that for me, if I see somebody who's 13 doing something I like, even if a part of me is like, ooh, don't steal from this like little baby, another part of me is like, yeah, definitely like.
No part of me thinks about don't take it from this kid.
Yeah, I don't
have any part of it me to think that.
Yeah, I do it too. I was just on a deep dive.
It's also just the way I steal. It's like I don't really learn licks, so it's not. I don't feel bad about taking it. And and the reason why I don't steal licks is not because I feel bad taking somebody's lick, it's just because I don't have that much time to put my stuff in. It makes no sense to put somebody else's stuff in. That's the only reason. It's not... Yeah. But yeah, definitely if I hear something interesting, I'm always on the lookout for something interesting.
Right.
So you can see it. If you do something interesting in the show that I don't do, I immediately will do it. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of stuff that stands out.
It's a good way to be. This week, I since I have the baby, I'm taking care of a baby. I have like these little pockets to practice. Like 20, 30 minutes, and I was checking out some stuff, and I've been on the kick of a few players lately, mainly like Sonny Stitt, because you sent me some stuff I liked, and
those are really the best two albums that he has, as far as I can tell so far.
Yeah, so Sonny Stitt was one. Wes Montgomery I've been listening to, and then Stevie Ray Vaughan again. I was just listening to some Stevie Ray Vaughan, and the funniest thing was that I had like this 40-minute chunk where I was practicing, not really practicing, like transcribing bits of like a live Stevie Ray Vaughan recording. And I don't want to deceive anybody when I say transcribing. I wasn't writing anything down. I was just listening and playing it back. And coming to that after checking out some Sonny Stitt was very weird, because basically when I'm hearing Stevie Ray Vaughan, I don't have to go and figure out what he's doing. Like I hear it, I know. I don't only like know where the notes are. I know like kind of what he's doing with his hands to make the sound pop out. I know a lot about it, so it's very fast. But the thought that I had about doing it is that at this point in my playing, I have no idea about how to think like Stevie Ray Vaughan. Meaning, if I need to parrot back a phrase, I can do it fairly convincingly. Like, obviously, I'm not Stevie Ray Vaughan, but I can get a lot of the sounds.
Also quickly.
Yeah, I can get a lot of the sounds to pop back out. Kind of, if he's, it's almost like if he's saying a sentence to me, I can say that sentence back to him in a Stevie Ray Vaughan mimicked voice, fairly convincingly. Which I'm not sure if I can. I can't do it like a Sonny Stitt phrase, right? Or maybe with some, but like there would be some. He's doing more things with notes and with harmony, so maybe it would take me a second more to figure it out. But it's not the case with Stevie Ray Vaughan. But what I can't do is figure out the sequencing of the phrasing. Like if I'm no longer parroting it, I can't make like a 12-bar blues where I'm actually improvising the way he would improvise, because my sense of space and my sense of where the phrases go isn't like his, and I have my own. Like my mind knows how to improvise. It knows how to sequence things. I take breaths, musical breaths, obviously. Like I put spaces in different places, and I go for different rhythms and different things. And that was the thing that really stuck out to me, is that it would be a very negative thing for me to do right now, to try to figure out and imitate somebody else's sense of sequencing, right? Like I have my own voice, I have my own sound. And I've had it for quite some time now. And it's interesting to see what people are doing in the bits they're playing. But I no part of me wants to kind of reorganize the bigger thing in that kind of structure, right? Like to go back and like re-examine.
Well, it will also be weird because you will have to forget a lot of stuff that you know.
Yeah.
It's like there is no such thing as gypsy jazz, or there's no such thing as bebop. You don't see enclosures, you don't see modal stuff on the blues, you don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's exactly. I don't think you can have like many ways of improvising, of sequencing ideas. I think you can have your way of doing it, and then you making an impression, right? It's because the thinking that goes into improvising isn't like phrase, wait. Now it's a good time. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't seem to work. And it's funny, I have this, my one student in Thailand, Stephen, he's kind of a deep thinking guy. And he's pretty critical of, he's really into gypsy jazz. And he sent me like this wave, like this video where he's like taking the wave of like Christian Van Hammer at like playing a Django lick and Django playing the Django lick. And, you know, so much of it is identical, but it may as well be in different galaxies. Like you can tell that the difference between the way they're playing the phrase is like, you know, because it's both in time with a metronome, or not with a backing track. And you can tell that the way like it's true, it's all the notes are there, all the rhythms are there, but the thing that's missing, it does, all the time in the world won't solve it. You know what I mean? It's because one of these guys did it like it's nothing and just improvised it one time, like an arbitrary choice, and the other one tried to put it in time.
Yeah.
And there's this one thing where it's like, when you get to this place that the rhythms and the notes are there and you understand what you're doing, you just got to grow a fucking pair and become yourself. Just let go of that shit. You know what I mean? Like you just gotta trust yourself and play. Have some courage, grow a backbone, you know, put yourself out there, you know, and just play intuitively. But it's like these people will never do it. It's like you're always in this mentality of being beta.
But I don't have a problem because I was doing this book for the VIP package and I was thinking about that part and I ended up not putting it in the book because I didn't think it really would fit in a way that makes sense. But or maybe I did put a sentence about it, but it's that it's good to be able to imitate people when you don't have anything going on, which is at the beginning. But later you need, like, you would find your own style if you just let the thing go. Like, you have no choice but find your own style eventually. And the only thing that won't let you find your own style is if you crowd your playing with other people's stuff. Like I said, you don't have a lot of, it seems like you have a lot of time, like, oh, I'm playing every day or whatever. I'm playing 2 shows a week, so I can do, or 5 shows a week, I can do whatever I want. Like, I can put Charlie Parker lick today and then Sonny Stitt lick tomorrow, but it's not really like that. You only have very short amount of solos. Like, think about this album. How much do we solo, each of us? Like 20 minutes?
Yeah.
You know, and it's a really long album. So it's like in 20 minutes, I don't even know it's 20 minutes. And it's like you don't, yeah, something like that. Not even 20. And you don't have that much time. So every time you put somebody else's thing, it's instead of your thing.
It's a missed opportunity, of course.
And people, and you know, people really know when they do it. That's another thing that I remember from doing it when I was, you know, younger. But you know when you're doing your impression of somebody.
Yes, and that's really I think the thing that comes across the most is the dishonesty, because there's a pretense that it's your playing, but in your heart of hearts, like if you were in that person's brain, that you know that they have this like button that's like apply lick, and they are pressing it mentally. Because there's no way to do it if you're not doing that.
I'm not going to name the guy, but this Israeli guy, but you can see that he's imagining with his breaker now.
Yes.
And before he was imagining his young Garbarek. And it's obvious. And it doesn't matter. It can be like, no, but I changed 3 notes of the lick. It doesn't matter. It's like, I can tell what you're thinking.
Yeah, you don't want to be, as an audience member, to see, because it's one thing to be lied to, but when you're seeing like the self-deception, like a person LARPing, like pretending he's not doing it, and again, sometimes even worse, not being aware that they're doing it, or not have the control to not go there, it's just not being brave. You know, that's what it is. It's not trusting yourself.
It's also rewarding in a lot of ways, because other people, like other players specifically, recognize that you're doing it, and a lot of mediocre people like it.
Yeah,
because it's kind of like they see themselves in you, like they see the bad parts in you. I know I talk about it all the time about social media, but it's really like what we're playing too. But people like to see their faults in other people.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the same thing. So the people in the scene will be like, oh my God, like the Israeli breaker or whatever. Like it's a compliment. And then they would say it like a compliment, but it's not a compliment. It's.
Yeah, this week I was checking out this video. There's this newer YouTuber. I was telling you about him. Something Barnaby. He's like a kid. He looks young, like mid-20s maybe.
Like finished his undergrad.
Maybe even his master's, because kids do that kind of right away now. But you know, it seems to me too that this new generation, their main skill, the one thing that they really trump each other on, is their ability to video edit. And he's amazing at it. And he's kind of like a super Beato. He does deep dives. He did one about, what's the name of the bebop scale guy? I forget.
Barry Harris.
He did a Barry Harris, like hour-long thing, but packed with information and really super thought out, deep, and he knows harmony. He did one on the symmetric, on the diminished scale. And he did one on using metronomes in weird ways, like the offbeat of 4 every 7th measure, like whatever, like weird shit like that. Like the fantasy of like it's as if somebody takes the mentality they teach you in jazz school about how you should practice and just keeps going their whole lives, doesn't let go of it. Good. All the information is correct and good. All the licks on guitar are decent guitar licks. You know, it's guitar focused, but it's like theory. It looks amazing. Everything about it is super well done, right? So props to that guy. But there are these segments in it where he's playing and applying all this stuff. And it sounds good, but he's not one of the guys, or not one of the guys yet. You
It's
know what
not
I
that
mean?
good. What
I
you're
mean,
saying. Like it works.
it's fast, it's chops, it's all that things, but you don't hear like a McLaughlin. Like if you close your eyes and listen to it, you don't like even players I don't like McLaughlin. I close my eyes and it's like there's something with the sound that's happening. It's like Mike
With
Stern.
everything, yeah.
Yeah, like I do not like Mike Stern. I do not
It's a
like Pat
3D picture.
Martino, but it's not my preference of color. But when I close my eyes and listen to them, I get why people like them, and I get it. And it's like I see the character in the face, right? And that's just something of you know taking that all those things you do. Let's say it's a diminished scale stuff or augmented scale stuff or bebop scale stuff or whatever it is, and just doing it for long time with people to where you find out what that is. And when you remove that, it's just so bizarre because these people are so well practiced. I saw this guy and he was playing like, I just, they get to the end of what the academic knowledge can give you. I saw him like play the Coltrane solo in giant steps really fast with a metronome and like, maybe some skunk funk solo live in Barcelona, bits of that.
Oh, I was one of the people that so many people did it already.
Yeah,
But
and like the countdown solo and bits of like they do the most intense things because they're good at being students. And if you take it slowly and you do it one measure at a time and you really take your time to figure it out, work it up with a metronome, you can do it. And then they're just at the edge of the world, like just over this cliff where they're just you have nothing else to do but
I tell you what the problem is with those people, and you really said it, I think, from the day we met. And we thought it was pretty easy because of Marbin, but what are they practicing for? That's the question. It's like people don't get it, but to be a gypsy jazz player and a bebop player and a hardbop player and a post-bop player, it might sound, if you don't know those things, it might sound like it's the same thing, but it's not even close. And you
different directions.
Really see it when you hear like people like Sonny State, for example, or Cannonball, but you hear them through the years that they try to go with the zeitgeist, and you see how the best players that were really the best players, like they played the crazy shit in '58. Like if I see somebody like Sonny State play right now, or like Cannonball play right now, like my mind will still be blown. I'll be like, yeah, it's like it's bebop, so at the end of it, like I can maybe be like, who gives a shit? But like my mind will be blown. There is this myth that there are so many people playing killer bebop lines, and like people like Paul Vertico's generation, so Pat Metheny's generation. It was like, yeah, there are so many killer bebop players. It's like the point is to do something special. I was like, there are not a lot of killer bebop players. Yeah. Definitely not to that level. And we were trying to go with that guys, and it just did not translate to anything other than what we were doing.
Well, the irony of those kind of YouTuber type players is that when you actually if you can find a piece of their music, it's always like a trip hop beat, a Chris Dave beat with like major 7 sharp 5 chords unrelated, and they're just playing out. That seems to be the style that dominates after they give like master classes on bebop. But yeah, like they go for
yeah, I understand it. Like we're really eclectic as far as what we play on and our music, but it still has a lot of it still has a center, even the weirdest stuff. Like I know we do at least the stuff we improvise on, right? Because we had the short songs that maybe go a little bit farther, but the stuff we improvise on, it stays around this huge pool, but still there is borders to it of things we're not gonna do, and or if we're gonna do it, we're gonna figure out to bring it into it. And those people, you see when they try to do stuff, it's like, oh, I'm gonna do a Holsworth song. No, I'm gonna do a Inner Urge. No, I'm gonna play Take the A Train. It's like we just don't get anything. So you can't really. You have to specialize. Yeah. And after you specialize, you can broaden it out. So but you have to specialize first. So with us, we can do a gypsy jazz album because we already specialized in fusion. and then took the time to figure out gypsy jazz after we already have this.
Well, with gypsy again, I think
Style.
about gypsy jazz like a hobby, but it's a style. You got like if you're like it's. I think it's a good thing to study a style. I think it broadens your horizon, especially after you have your thing going. After you have like the actual like you make music your job and you focus on what you like and that's the thing you're feeding. And it's okay to have a hobby, but just practicing jazz or jazz
But
skills or taking your like that it's just the nerd
listen,
stuff.
if you came to gypsy jazz, me and you, if you came to gypsy jazz from the beginning,
Yeah.
it wouldn't have been the same.
No, it
As
wasn't.
what it is now is like we have all the stuff that we do, and we kind of translate it into gypsy jazz. It's not even like we're trying to play gypsy jazz. It's like we're doing our stuff translated into gypsy jazz.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I do.
It's like it's obvious who's playing it. Like if somebody hears me play saxophone on the Gypsy Jazz album and then hear I don't know, Russian Dolls and then hear the new album, they would obviously know it's the same player.
Right.
So, it's just, and a lot of the stuff I use is the same stuff. I just know how to translate it with a different style. So I don't know. It just it's weird to me was people that never specialize in anything. Mancuso is the same thing, right? Like he doesn't have an album yet, and it's no wonder he doesn't have an album yet. Like he plays like his style is playing with his fingers.
Yeah.
But like he's doing like a video here. I'm covering what's the video cover? He covered Allsworth, he covered the Chicken, and he did Cherokee.
He started writing tunes. I saw like a live concert and he played some of his songs.
But yeah, I'm not saying he will never do it. I'm just saying everything I do from him. It's not surprising that he didn't do an album because it's not cohesive yet.
Yeah, I mean, I've been following some of his stuff, and out of that whole generation, I feel like he's probably going to release an album first, maybe in like the 2040s. But it's bizarre because the aesthetic that they have, since they're very pragmatic with what works on YouTube, but somehow they're drawn into these weird spaces. Like again, it's either that atonal trip hop stuff, or with him like smooth jazz, Larry Carlton kind of retroisms, like just this very classic fusion.
I want to read you. Keep going. I'm looking. You remind me something.
Yeah. But all I was gonna say is that I think when you are that scared to release unedited material, especially video material, you just end up in this space where it's very paralyzing to commit to any idea you have. Like, I mean, with us, at the end of the day, we make some weird choices sometimes, but we're pretty free. Like if I'm just playing like a G minor chord on the guitar, and I have this like arbitrary example, but like, I figure out a chord progression, I figure out some melodies. It sounds like some weird Russian folk song. It's nothing too exciting on guitar. I could just bring it up, be like, I like this, let's start playing it. It becomes something we do at shows. And, we're free in that way to do something, to run with something that's not that impressive on saxophone or guitar, that's just kind of nice musically. And I don't feel like a lot of these YouTube guys are. I feel like they're super self-conscious about their constituents. Right, they're like trapped in the hipness, like, that like Mancuso or something can't do, like he can't go like 3 seconds without doing something that looks really cool, because he knows why the people are there. They're not there for like a sonic experience, they bought into a ride that's a very specific kind of ride.
Yeah, it's tough. Once you find something that works, it's tough not to just keep hitting it.
Yeah. What do you want to read the people?
Well, now that I'm looking at it, I don't know. It's I see. Did we listen? Oh, we did listen to Patrick Bartley album, J Music Ensemble.
Yeah.
The Metagroove album.
Yeah.
It's so crazy the amount of players he has now because of the thing.
Yeah, Patrick Bartley, he has that solo on After You've Gone, right?
Yeah, he has 1.1 million streams. on Spotify this year for his band.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're doing computer game music, but he played like that. What's the name of the guy he sounds like? Bostic?
Bostic, yeah.
Yeah.
And, but people don't know him, so it makes sense. And again, solo is good. But he posted this thing about, please stop DMing me about after you've gone, LOL. Thank you so much, but yeah, LOL.
People did not like that?
No, and he was saying, and he was, giving shit. I like him. I like something about him, not just about his playing. Like, he gives people shit. He says what he wants. He was talking shit about New York and about how glad he is it's not there.
Yeah, that's a privilege that us Jews do not have. I wish we could just talk shit to everybody online.
Yeah.
My God, that would be nice. That's a freedom not allotted to the Jew. We have to be nice.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's anything. Yeah.
This is making for great podcasting.
Yeah, so, no, it's enough of it. But, yeah, it's weird. It's weird because and I get him. I get what he's saying. It's like he wants his stuff. It's like for him, it's just a fucking solo he played. So he's actually not a good example of it stuff.
He's rebelling against it, but that's exactly the situation I'm describing. That and that's a big drag about internet fame and YouTube fame. Like people that buy into the experience of what you do through one video expect you to keep manufacturing the same experience. But if that's not what you're interested in doing, like him, then that's a drag. But I think for people who are younger than him, they don't have a thing they want to do instead. They just want to succeed. They're very pragmatic. I don't think that they're drawn to a specific style. They're letting traffic. They're letting internet traffic dictate their style. They're too malleable and they're too young to resist it.
Yeah, I guess he's not as young. He's a little bit younger than us, but he's not that young.
No, I think he's into doing his band, and he doesn't want to play after you've gone in standards in a Bostic style every minute. He has his own aesthetic, which I don't like, but more power to him for wanting to do something of his own. But when I see, especially like that Justin Schultz kid, and when you see them, it's starting to take hold of their facial expressions. Like they're looking for the iPhone to smile at when they're playing a concert. Like I see that when somebody is like filming him in Nam or something, where it always sticks to my mind that these people who are like really professional YouTubers and really not TikTokers and stuff like that, they have the smiling face that they do with the expressions, but because it's always shot at one phone, they don't know which phone to shoot it at. So it looks really weird when you film them from the side. You know what I mean? It like doesn't work at all because they're doing their emoting, but it only works when they're looking at one iPhone. But when you're offset, it's like it doesn't have the same effect at all. It's just a kid playing great, but it's changing your behavior.
I'm guessing it was like that for almost every kid sensation though. Yeah. But it kinda made him stuck. Musically, I'm trying to think who was a prodigy.
When you were growing up?
Of it. Yes. Yeah.
I don't even know. I mean, recently or a long time ago?
I don't know. Just people that
Joey Alexander.
Like, and I can think no older, like Trombone Shorty maybe.
Yeah. I think in that age, though, that's what it did. Like, Trombone Shorty was like a jazz Lincoln Center kind of prodigy. And then he was like, screw that, I'm going to make like New Orleans pop.
With Patrick Bartley, same thing, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. I was watching interviews. It was on Ron Carter's channel, which I've professed my love to. I love hearing Ron Carter talk. But it was like with a lot of like Freddie Hubbard and...
Well, Freddie Hubbard? Freddie Hubbard is alive?
No, he's dead. But it was like filmed in the 90s. Marcus Miller, people who were in Miles Davis's bands through the years talking about Miles Davis. They're talking about a few interesting things, but Jimmy Heath was talking about playing with Miles Davis and playing So What? And he was saying how like in the 50s, he could play like all these songs with changes, like, you know, Dolphin Street and whatever, like, you know, All the Things You Are, Autumn Leaves, all these tunes. And then So What came along, and Miles wanted him to play it when he was in his band. He's like, I don't know what to play over this. And you know what he told him? He's like, you play the white keys on the outside and the black keys on the inside. Like on the A's, you play the white keys, and on the B's, you play the black keys. And and it's like telling him, it's like, and that's all the song was. And at the time, you know, Sonny Stitt was in the band, and Miles Davis kept shitting on him because he kept telling him, it's like, all you're playing is D minor 7, but you're supposed to play all that. You know, because he's playing over the chord. So he kept playing like enclosures and shit like that, and like, you know, Coltrane, like he's playing like all the arpeggios, all the stuff. And
but you're talking about Sonny Stitt, not Cannonball, no?
After.
Okay.
After that material.
Yeah, Sonny Stitt that's not his style.
It's not his style, but that's so funny that the people there didn't know how to think about that. And again, I would think about it modally, but the fact that it makes so much sense that they really think, because when you hear them playing, they're really playing diatonic on the D minor and pentatonic on the E flat. Yeah. And that's the thing about the song, right? It's like to them, to the band, that was like the coaching they received. It's just hilarious.
Yeah, I remember when we played with Victor Garcia bow, and he would want to play like 26-2 or whatever. And then when we tried to play You Looped, and he wanted to play one of our songs, which was one chord because it was looping.
And he couldn't
He couldn't play it for shit,
like a G minor.
Yeah, because you have to do the 7 going to the 3, and you have to voice lead, and it's like, what do you do if you don't have all those tools that you're using? Like when we look at music.
Again, he could play stuff, but there was no connectivity. He couldn't pack a punch. Like nothing he did, like packed a punch.
No, and he kept stopping. It didn't make sense. He didn't know how to make sense of the space.
Yeah, and how to use.
And he was a great jazz player. I still is. I'm just saying it didn't make sense to him. So I can see how those people. Yeah. No, but that's what I was saying before too. But people don't get it. But once you get into a specific style, there's so much that you like, so many small adjustments that make all of difference. Mm-hmm. I always feel it when I play. Like I just had a gig, and it's like more like bop, like hard bop, like bop/hard bop/post bop, because who I'm playing with, but that's a more hard bop. And it's like, well, a lot of adjustments I would do over time if I played this music a lot.
Oh yeah.
You know, and it's like for those people, it sounds like, oh, I'm killing it, but it's only because they didn't even. Like I have a style, and I understand that style, so I know how to play the right rhythm and the right harmony. And they're not even there. But like I feel like if it was somebody, like if I played with, I don't know, like if I played with, they brought me to sub for Sonny Stitt, they would have stuff to tell me. That's what I feel like.
Yeah, because it's not. But I mean, that was then, and now it's now. Now nobody would tell you anything about anything. People are waiting. You know. Jazz musicians do not communicate about the quality of what they're producing.
It's also because it's not something that happens to a few people. It's almost everybody. Like jazz schools just produces a bunch of blobs.
Right.
And I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of them don't even end up playing jazz. Well, maybe just we also don't like it. Is because jazz is like. You do a swing combo, a hard bop combo, a fusion combo, a free jazz combo, and then you're done with school. And Latin combo. And then you're done with school, and you're like, oh, I know all the styles of jazz.
I remember.
What do you want to play? Hip hop.
I remember so clearly. It's so weird to think about it now. But when I was at Berkeley, my biggest source of anxiety, my whole time there, was ensembles. I hated having to register for them, and since I was a performance major, you know, they make you take at least 2 a semester, I think, and like you're supposed to take more because that's supposed to be the main thing, and that's the thing I hated the most. and it was such a random assortment of people who all sounded bad, who were kind of ignoring each other. These jaded instructors that just make you play songs that nobody there knew. It's like it all starts with everybody trying to sight read.
The sight read, yeah.
And like everybody just sounding like so like they're in middle school. And for me, I wasn't like offended by how bad everybody was. It was an anxious experience just trying to play the music. I still remember there was this bassist. I don't remember his name. He was the teacher, like an older guy, just shitting on everybody. And he was trying to get us to play I'm old fashioned, that tune.
Yeah.
And I kept fucking up something, and he was just giving me shit. And he was giving us like these speeches about how we're never going to make it as jazz musicians. And I was like, but like you didn't make it. Like look, you're here with us. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, we're not gonna make it. Of course, this is like a level, but you're like the instructor of a level 3 ensemble. It's like, why aren't you teaching a level 8 ensemble? But
yeah,
but again, you know, I feel like if I could go back in time and do it, I would probably have a slightly better time. But there's something about that, you know, being a part of that and seeing how the player, because a lot of the players that were there with me, I'm assuming, went on to play jazz to some capacity. And I see them still at gigs we get hired from time to time. And every time I'm with the people, I'm always flashed back to the ensemble, to the terribleness of being in that room, of having that, like, it's not non-judgmental because they complain to somebody about the gig. It's just total indifference and no communication between the players, not being able to like laugh together or have any sort of thing resembling, like, it doesn't have to be friendship, but it's just like that thing of shooting the shits with somebody you barely know that can happen between some guys. It never happens there.
Yeah, I'm just still thinking about the fact that, like, what are we trying to teach in those schools? Do you know what I mean? What are we trying to teach in those jazz schools? Like the idea of a perfect jazz student. It's
the content creators. I mean, they've made it, you know, like that guy I'm talking about, he's the perfect student. Like, he knows those transcriptions from beginning to end, those Coltrane solos. He can play them in time really fast. He can explain, he knows all the scales and can explain them. But again, I don't know, to me, the idea is somebody who can produce great music, make good records, and play, you know, captivating shows. And that seems to not be happening, right? That part's broken.
I'm thinking maybe we're thinking about it, like, because I don't know what it's like to study something else. Like maybe computers, they teach you every semester you learn a different programming language, C++, Python, you know, like whatever machine thing. I don't know. So maybe that's how they do it, and then you need to find a job, and then you just focus on one thing. So maybe that's the idea.
Just to go broad.
But with art, it's just like, here we'll show you swing, and then bebop, and then post-bop, and then free jazz and fusion, and you can decide after school which one you want to get into. But it's like, dude, you can show somebody that in 4 hours. You just put an album of its style, and they're like, hey, what you like? Go do that.
Right.
Not $200,000 in 4 years. It just makes zero sense to teach art like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's also, I think it's scary to commit to learning a style, you know, especially, and I don't pretend to know what it's like to grow up with Spotify. It just wasn't available when we were kids. So, you know, why would you do one thing when you could check out a little bit of everything? Right?
It's easy. But it's easy to do it because that's why you need to write music. Because if you write music, that's your style.
That's right.
So that's what we did. We wrote music, and that was our style. And you write different music, and that's your style. That's what you play. And yeah, if you don't, then sure,
it's not quite that simple, because you still have to improvise over your music. And I think for people who don't yet have a voice, it's hard to, I mean, that is hard to pass judgment on, because, you know, it's a terrible problem to have. We don't have it, but it's
Look at
I have students. I have students that do come up to me and are like, and they're like, so what? I should just play like this on my album? It's like, no, you shouldn't. You should not play like that. You should figure something out. It's like, what do I figure out? Who do I listen to? It's like, I don't know. What do you like? Listen to what you like. But it's like you got to send people back to the drawing board. And again, once you're onto something, you're probably gonna know if you're honest with yourself, but maybe not.
Chris Porter, I'm saying his name because he's already an older musician, but it's like, that's the Michael Brecker hat, that's the Joe Henderson hat. Look at me doing all those things. And you really, this generation has even more of this ADD.
Yeah, it's not really ADD. It's multiple personality disorder. That's what it is. It's like you believing that you are these people and that somehow you can just jump from one to the other. Right? It's like, this is, my Wes Montgomery song, my Alan Holdsworth song. It's like these songs are so, it's so unrelated, and both, the only thing that they share is that it sounds like an imitator.
And there is a fine line though, because with some people, like to me it makes sense with the Gypsy Jazz album, but it's not just with us. It's like Pat Metheny, for example, it makes sense when you're like, oh, I feel like playing in jazz trio. Yeah, and some jazz trio albums. Yeah, but it was already, but it's still Pat Metheny. It's like
he plays the same way. He plays exactly the same way. It's like, again, all those out things that he's playing over the pop harmonies too. He's just taking the thing that he figured out, his thing, and just moving idioms, which wouldn't be what I would do, but I could see how that works. At least there's that constant, right? There's that consistent thing.
I would say I'll explain what was doing. It's like it's his face when he's doing bebop or the bebop. When he's doing like the jazz trio, it's on bebop. The jazz trio post bop, and then he's doing Pat Metheny smooth jazz like samba.
Right.
It's the same. It's Pat Metheny face. It's not like Pat Metheny face with Wes Montgomery face glued in, like what you can see like in Photoshop when it's like half and half. And that's what really the people do. That's why I don't like it, because like maybe one of the better saxophone players of this generation of our age is like Chad Lefkovich, right? Mm-hmm. And he kind of does it. You know what I mean? It's like his face with another face glued on a little bit. I
see him LARPing Brecker hard. Like he did this thing lately with Randy Brecker, and it was like hard for me to watch because
it's a little bit embarrassing. Yeah, I know.
Because he's playing like a Brecker thing. It's almost like he's like, I could see him. He wasn't looking at him, but in his third eye was looking at Randy. Like, it's like, I'm your brother. Yeah. I'm your brother Michael back. I'm back from the dead to play one last solo. It's like it was almost like staged to give that impression that he's Michael Brecker.
Like the next Michael Brecker, yeah. Like he was here and now I'm here.
Yeah, like a passing of the torch.
And it's also a little bit, I feel like it's a little bit like, like maybe if you wanted to get like it's because it's not the same because your styles you never play like Pat Metheny, but it's kind of like you want to get the go ahead, like you got the approval of the person that was there on stage with him.
Yeah, so you go and become Paul Ward because Steve Robbie Sideman or Lyle Mays.
Yeah, so they'll be like, you're great, like you're the best thing since Pat Metheny. But now, when I have my own band for so many years, I know how our sidemen really hate us. Because they do. Like, even if they don't, like John, every time, and it's true for both of us, when we do something, like when you do the Yellow previews, or when I did the book now, or when I did the articles for the Saxon website, or when you did your live feeds, John's reaction was like, you guys are assholes. That is all his reactions. Like,
it's not a lot of explanation, but
everybody's gonna think you're megalomaniac assholes. And it's like, no, that's what you think. And he's like, no, I don't think that at all. It's like, yeah, but that's what you think.
It's totally what he thinks.
Yeah, of course, because that's what he sees in us.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, like, you go to all those people that kind of, maybe Randy's his brother, but like, you go to all those people like Paul Rodico and Steve Rodby, but in some ways, I'm sure, like, even if they're not going to come out and say it, but like, they hate him and they hate his music because they hear it all the time and they played it. So it's like, am I the next one? And then they hate him so much. We're like, yeah, you're so great because we're sick of him.
It's also nobody gives a shit about them day to day, and then you give them the power to like knight you. You know what I mean? They're drunk off the respect you have for them for liking him. It's so crazy. You know? Yeah, it is. Well, I don't know. From the Miles Davis thing I've heard, the big takeaway was that you should definitely do a lot of heroin. They were talking about it, and they're saying how there's no other drug that they said like alcohol gives you confidence but takes your technique. Cocaine makes you like jittery and nervous, but when you do heroin, it's like the concentration. It's like that all other things but your playing disappear, and you.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
That's what I said for years.
And you still somehow can move your fingers.
It's what I said for years without doing heroin. So my theory was right.
Yeah, they're all concurring, but they said you shouldn't do it. It was a real don't do it, Dewey moment.
Yeah, you know what I think also? Because you brought up Miles. So Miles, they have, it's like those stories. Like the thing with Miles, like, oh, Miles, like you play with Miles and then you become famous, right? Mm-hmm. But it's really, it wasn't like that Miles approved you and you got famous. It's like you're in the machine now.
Yeah.
And the machine, the only thing the machine knows is the most obvious stuff. So, hey, you're playing with Miles, I'm going to put this guy playing with Miles. So if Miles bring 3,000 people, I'm going to sell you to venues with 500 people and be like, hey, this guy plays with Miles.
That's right. You know, there's a market, and we're going to like give you to the second tier of that market.
Yeah, because it's obvious and it's easy.
Yeah.
And it's like we play shows for like, 50 to 150 people. When you have venues of 5 to 15 people, we can send out linemen to play. You know what I mean? It's
That's
like
exactly
if we were more famous, it's like, yeah, they would play in more famous places. It's in the tier under. It's just so weird.
It is true. Like, and Miles is on the phone with the guy who gives record deals. So, it's like, hey, Miles, do you know anybody who needs a record deal? It's like, yeah, do you want a record deal? Here's a record deal. It's like, it's the 60s. They needed records.
Yeah.
It's like they were going to get him somewhere. So it just makes sense. Yeah, but it's true that it's not by the virtue of their greatness as band leaders. It's just because it was easy. And
it's a machine. So it's like when you get Randy Brecker to play, you're not in the machine. It's not bringing you in the machine.
There is no machine.
There is no machine. Yeah, but the machine is teaching, and Lefkovich is teaching. I just saw him posted about is now the director of the jazz thing or the Dave Brubeck thing, whatever. He can't wait to work with the students and with the other artists. And yeah, that's the only machine there is now. The school machine just took over everything.
Sure, I'm sure if you're playing with Winton and you're really good friends, you get into that. You get into that machine. You get into that machine, and you're making a lot of money. Anyway,
I have to go.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you subscribe to podcasts. Our VIP package is about to be released. It's going to have like a Marbin hat, a Marbin book Danny wrote called How to Stop Sucking, the incomplete guide
to improving your playing.
Our new album, which is the best one by far, will be released on CD for.
Oh, you will get the music right now.
And you'll
the second you buy it, you get the music.
Yeah, you get the music before it's on Bandcamp, Spotify, and it won't be out for a while. So you'll be
it won't be out for like 4 or 5 months at least.
Yeah, so you'll get to enjoy that as VIPs once it's out, which will probably be soon. And yeah, check out our music at marbinmusic.bandcamp.com, and we're going on tour in January to all of the West Coast and Midwest and South. So check out all the dates at bandsintown.com/Marbin if you haven't yet. And thank you for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye.